How to stop procrastinating. Have you ever wanted to do things you want, but end up scrolling on your phone or watching YouTube funny videos instead? Well, you're not alone, because many people, especially young men, face this issue as well. In today's video, we will find out what causes procrastination and how you can stop it. Let's go. First, let's see what happens in the mind of a procrastinator. You have a set amount of time, or perhaps an unlimited amount of time, to finish a task. Typically, this is an activity that you hate because you consider it to be difficult, boring, or unpleasant. If it had been a fun task, it would have been completed by now. You normally put it off by watching YouTube or browsing through Facebook. The mental stress of knowing you still have to complete the task weighs heavily on you. Oddly enough, this makes you avoid it even more. When the weight or discomfort of not executing the task at all overcomes the current burden of sitting there and avoiding it, you act. Often, the task is rushed or poorly done. Sometimes it's accomplished as expected, and you think to yourself, that wasn't as bad as I imagined it would be. Typically, the feeling is one of relief that the task has been completed. If you find yourself wasting too much time on stuff like YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook, you're definitely frustrated with yourself at this point. Perhaps you've been attempting to break these habits for a long time with little success. And here is the reason why you don't do things you need to do. If you don't want to do it, and if you don't have to do it, then you won't do it. Take a second to think about that and tell me if you think it's true or not. Have you ever done something in your life that you didn't have to or didn't want to do? I believe the answer is no. Take a look at whatever you're not doing even when you need to. Assume it's a piece of work for your job or degree. You don't have to do it right now because it's due in a few weeks. It's also not your favorite way to spend your time. It's not enjoyable. You don't want to do it. Of course, you want to be done with it, but you don't want to do it. It is an important difference. So, what happens next? You're not going to do it. Simple, right? But it still needs to be done, so when will you do it? Only when absolutely necessary. Only when you can't put it off any longer. Then there's this switch that flips in you, sending you into a frenzy of tension, panic, caffeine, and lack of sleep. And you eventually do it because you always knew that this is the shortest amount of time you could possibly accomplish it in. This is how procrastination works. Now, how to use this information to stop procrastinating. Importantly, it's not useful to just say, I need to stop being on my phone so much. Instead, to eliminate procrastination, you need to get it at the root. We need to set up two things and a bonus rule. First, a schedule structure that will keep you on track, and second is to establish that you have to stick with the schedule. Let me show you how. 1. Establish a schedule structure to follow. Create a schedule for whatever it is you need to do. So figure out when you really need to do it and put it on your calendar, with reminders to remind you when it's time. Establish when you'll exercise, where you'll exercise, what resources you'll need, and how long this will be. Break down your work project into sections and determine when each item must be completed in order to stay on track. Make a note of them in your calendar. Commit your time to complete them. 2. Establish necessity and urgency. Continuing with the exercise example, it can be tough to persuade oneself that I need to work out today. Because we don't believe it. We know we can just skip it and it won't make much of a difference. We can easily persuade ourselves not to do it. So here's what you and I can agree on. Is your fitness routine really necessary? Don't respond right away, instead, wait a minute. Is it truly essential for you to maintain an exercise routine? If you answered yes, let's ask a question. By when do you need your exercise habit? Take a minute to sort it out once more. If the answer is now or ASAP, think about why. Do you honestly believe this? Determine why you believe this. Why is it so important to get into a regular workout routine as soon as possible? Finally, here's the cherry on the cake. You can always tell yourself tomorrow, tomorrow, later, later. But below that is this game you're playing in which you're asking yourself, how little can I possibly do and yet achieve the result? Or, to put it another way, how much can I get away with, or how long can I get away with doing nothing, or what's the absolute minimum that I can do? Why don't we stop playing that game right now? Let's not play this game again this year. It's a stupid game. It's not a good sign. It restricts us to immaturity and underachievement. You're a better person than that. You deserve better. Instead, let us begin by asking, how much better can I get? How healthy am I capable of becoming? How far can I push myself? How much well-being am I capable of achieving in my lifetime? And start asking these questions seriously. Begin orienting yourself in this manner. 3. Start to do it quickly. The problem with procrastination is that it leads to failure to begin. You think it'll be more difficult than it is, so you put it off. Most of the time, the task isn't really that difficult, but you make it out to be. To put a stop to this, you need something outside of your power, to begin with. Some people follow the 5-second rule, while others jump in and start with the first task on their lists, while yet others start with a few lesser jobs to gain momentum. The key to all of these is to get started. When you take action in that split second, you win the game. It basically snowballs from there, and just like you were delaying and putting off one task after another, one task leads to another, which leads to another. That's it for today's video. I hope you have learned something new today. Remember, nothing will change unless you're willing to change. Have a good day, my friends.